Hello and welcome. It is that of Saturday, the 29th day of December 2018, soon to be 2019. I usually accidentally will say 18 in January, sometimes, or what the year before was. A couple years ago, I accidentally was starting to say the upcoming year at this point, but not yet. Anyway, all trades, bets of the like with one's own each risk reward. Bitcoin, definitely PIVX is going to be talked about, and I'll talk about hockey again, as one of the things I was talking about happened. And the New Jersey game, right now it is 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The second period of the late afternoon games are underway. Switzerland leading 2-0 at this stage, so that's fine and dandy right now. But Bitcoin, the support comes back down to here. This is the 4-hour term. We were supporting this key Fibonacci level. Now, twice hit Fibonacci at 4100 is the next point, which it'll be heading to if it's able to break this very short-term level of resistance. We can see it clearly here. This hour, or previous hour rather, new hour is just beginning. It's 5:03, 56 minutes left. That it's just broken out, making the statement, okay, we've had this great sideways consolidation pattern. And what I like about these moves in here, it's like a final shakeout, if you will. Very, very common before a decent sized play in. And oftentimes, when I look at the reasons why this could be the case, if you're a big buyer and you're trying to accumulate at this time, then during this point, if you're able to, and I don't see great volume, but if you're able to execute a few buys, maybe you are a big buy order in here somewhere. You're like, okay, now it's time to go. You get your good buy down below. And then you, instead of being the bidder and having sellers come to you, now you're going to accumulate even more of whichever coin it is, in this case Bitcoin, by buying it up. So that's something I've thought about before on the failed breakdown, fast move higher. And of course, for the polar opposite is true on the failed breakout. So within such, I like how it's moving 15-minute time frame. We can see one leg higher, a little bit of a correction, same thing again. And on the 5 minutes, having this level of resistance here, correcting through time. So 1 minute, I can see the status of such. And it's digesting the move. Good move. People have had a chance to sell. So you have these two red candles. So the early people noticing, hey, the market's up a few percent, 2% or whatever. The short-term traders get in, get some sells in. People who noticed it late in here, maybe they didn't notice it like say 5-6 minutes ago, so another round of those sellers again. And as well as people who buy down here, some are going to be selling at this point. But when you start to see, or stop seeing rather, these retracements coming in like we're seeing at this point now, you come to the 18 highs, we're having a little down move. If plays like this become very light, it's able to hold on this time frame, so the next 3, 4, 5 periods, which is minutes, stay around 39, which is just a higher low to here. And then that tells you sellers aren't that aggressive. And don't be surprised to see buyers coming back in and then breaking that level of resistance. And then again, when looking at the 4, we see correctionary move down, finding support at the 18. We can see resistance established, back to the band. So it's looking as if it might be making that play, and the daily chart's got the exact same situation. Resistance established, back to the band, and breaking out is leaving this, thus attempting stage 4, the final stage, and that's the break of resistance. And coming up to this, when a spot where you resist here, come back down here and leave like such, probability odds of breaking it on the move of, say, to 4,000. If it gets anywhere near 4,000, so the chances of it going another 100 and then breaking that is good. And then over whatever period of time, which would be within a fraction of one period or many hours or several days, period maybe 10, 20, whatever periods, at a long period, we should reach next key level, which to me I think is in at 48.5. Don't be surprised if it pierces extra, thus maybe comes in a little above or below 5,000 as a key resistance point. Just like in here, it pierced it above on this move and again on this play here. Let's move on next to PIVX. And I unfortunately have to use a Binance chart because of, try to see how I do this. I'm trying to figure out a way I can, why does it, I know how to stop it, but okay. Trying to find a way to stretch it out so that It sucks doing it, but yeah, here's what I want to do. So daily chart, we can see having that resistance come into play and breaking out. Amongst such, it's been a key level since the breakdown in August. We can see it supported this general area July 25th and resisted this area at the end of October, falling from it back here again. A nice, beautiful correction again to the 18, and it's a breaking out on today's session. It's pulled back a little bit. On the 4-hour term, it's we can see this is that nice little level it went up to. Did it hold this? Not really. Did it make the successful higher low? Thus, I mean, there's a trend line you could have drew here. Well, yeah. So other time frames obviously did find support at the key level. So that's what's important. There's your breakout period here a few periods ago, coming back to the highs, and now this period here, 1 hour 51 minutes remaining. It's at halftime, and there's no break for such. But halfway through, it's showing signs of breaking out. We'll look at the single hour next. And there's the correction of the 18 lows. And we see this period right from that point above the highs, staying within it. So I'm just going to put a line as if it makes much of a difference where the 18 highs happens to appear. And take a look at this on the 15-minute. So there's your spot of a nice little break. It has a high volume, of course, on the big move. I mean, that just makes sense because if someone's going to buy it up many basis points high or sell it down many basis points low, it costs a lot to do it, thus making sense for the big volume. And within such now, we can see it's just holding in there, 5-minute chart, having its move. And again, you have this, you have the instant selling, all the traders out there that are able to see profits from buying down here. Maybe they missed out on this sale up here and they were like, oh, in here they missed out on this one too even. And or they were like, okay, I don't want to sell in here because I think it's going to go higher. Then it goes down. It's like, man, I was going to sell at 21, 26 and or all that level. Then they see it at like 20 and a half even and 20 and a quarter. And now it's back up. So like, okay, now I'm going to sell. I was going to hold some, but you just get your original wave of sellers in every single market like that. Now we can see after that's gone through, is there any more people that want to take their profit with sale prices at around the 21 and change handle? There's going to be some, but enough to make it go down? Well, right now, it doesn't look like that's the case. It's in this 18 on the very short term. So if you're looking at this the short term, you see good volume coming in, you see this breaking out. Don't be surprised if you have a very good series of large candles after that. I want to move on to Ethereum next because I haven't seen the chart in a good day or so. But I have noticed with one, getting a buy order on my Ethereum exchange, and number two, everything up against Ethereum, at least, or down rather, everything that at least I am trading against such. So I see negative 4, 6, 7% across the board. So let's take a look at Ether against Bitcoin. And we'll go short to long. I'm already on the 1-minute chart, and I can see that it happened at 4:11 p.m. Eastern Time. And nice little consolidation given that a main uptrend has been maintained. You have this series of highs about 3 times hit, with each one being higher. The second one being noticeably higher. This one pretty much the same hit. Okay, good price correction, but it manages to go up, breaking resistance. Not a big gain, but a noticeable gain. So now will this area be support? So far for several minutes, it has been. An attempt to break out instantly fails. Nothing to say it's going to break down as of yet. But if you see weakness on the 18 lows and it's only starting to show such, then there's definite reason to be concerned. Stop loss area for a lot of people short term might be around this. So that's another reason where if it breaks down below this, don't be surprised if it goes into this area, into their 5-minute chart. Obviously, it's been going on since 2 o'clock in the afternoon, continuously going up. 15, noticeably, we can see that there's levels of key resistance that it's taken out. Well, actually, let's do 1 hour first. And within a nice little sideways consolidation, breaking this established resistance. So this move here that started this yesterday morning held very nicely through time, and it is now broken the sideways correction. Thus, this is the area I want to see if any corrections are going to happen in the near term, and it's really near price. 35-ish area if it comes down. And now in the 4-hour chart, and just that beautiful pattern. You have this great rally. How is it going to digest this gains over a decent period of time? Well, over a handful of days, it has this first correction, has this failed breakdown. It gets to the congestion area in here in one period. So it does seem poised like this thing is ready to get above it, because obviously when I say stuff like you have a great rally, an amazing bullish correction, so check mark, and then you start to have a moving towards previous resistance, check mark, it's doing it now, that is probably going to break it soon. Well, that hasn't happened yet, but again, 1 minute term time frame, it's hanging in there for that play, and obviously getting above this level now, good chance for it. But so was the case in here. So a lot of position people would be like, yeah, I'm going to go long here, because technically it was a great spot to do so. But where would you have put your stop? Definitely at worst under this low, and it hasn't went under it. Some people under this low as well. So that is something of note. And again, another breakout, there'd be newer people going in, because it becomes even a stronger play if it had this sell-off and didn't go further for another leg lower. And of course, maybe other people getting in before might add to a stronger or larger position size and maybe put another day trade in to go along with it. And when you're talking 1 minute time frame, well over 96, 97 times over 100, you're talking short term. Why not 100? Well, if you're in a long-term situation where it's time to buy or sell, that means you got to shorten out the time frame. So that's why I would say well over like 96, if not even 98, 99 times out of 100. So yeah, so that's looking really good on the 4-hour. And of course, on the daily term, you have, I mean, talk about resistance established at a high level, coming back to support, and looks like it's going to take it out. And on the weekly chart, it's just leaving the 18, and it could have a much nicer gain above that. Its last previous level from where it came from isn't up to about the 56 handle, 55. And right now it's at 36 3/5. So that's definitely got a ways to go if this thing gets out. So when you look at stuff like risk versus reward and you try to calculate it, you realize that the mathematical percentages of high reward, well, that's what's coming into play. And if you play this like a normal code within its volatility, you're really not having to put much greater risk, which is generally where do you want to have like stop losses and all those kinds of things. For long term, if you're doing such, shortening it out, okay, maybe you put a stop below this level here at 30, or whichever strategy that you're looking to do, because you see something like that, okay, I think it's going to break out. One place you could be like, okay, 18 average of lows is at 29. Maybe I even want to go lower than that. Aggressive stop maybe at 23. You're aggressing. I mean, there you're risking a third, and that means you need a big gain here. But once you start getting up here, the amounts of profits can start to get really big. Okay, let's talk about hockey. But there's only one subject I really want to talk about, and it's amongst the subject of these empty net goals, winning by 2. I had the play of the New Jersey Devils laying 1.5 goals. And the way I look at it, especially nowadays, if I have the team leading by 1 in the last couple minutes of the game, at least I got the empty net spot. And in the last minute of the game, and the goalie was pulled for 2 minutes, that's the first thing, extended time for it. Because back in the day, it used to only be a minute for a 1-goal game. That players are amazing shooters. I'm seeing it big time with guys like Austin Matthews on Toronto and all the other guys on other leagues. Just how they can pinpoint accuracy like so amazing. That they're shooting from areas that players never could get empty net goals from in the past because of skill sets of the players. The empty net goal to give the final 2-0 here and a victory. And if you can see the highlights, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The player had to shoot the puck from a long distance. It was behind his red line. He also had defenders that could block the shot, so he had to have a good shot. He was able to do so, get the puck on the net, and do so. And when you're shooting from behind the red line, and oftentimes that's where you can only shoot from, then you are risking an icing call. So you really have to be good when making the play, because if you miss the net, you're going to have to stay on the ice. And, of course, there's going to be no goal scored. But players shooting spectacular. So the statistics of, in the situation left, and I want to do mathematics to do this. I don't have any computer software to make this to do this fast, but it doesn't take too long to go through box scores these days. Is I want to look at games in the last 2 minutes when there's a 1 goal differential, and then figure out which variables happen. 1, an empty net goal, and the team wins by 2 or more. Or just there's just 1 empty net goal or more. 2, they tie the game and force overtime. And 3, multiple things happen. Chicago-Toronto, that was one of those games where 3 things happened, or 3 goals were scored. So that's what I'm going to do, because it seems to me the reason why there's so many 2-goal differentials is because, 1, a little less overtime games with the higher scoring. So there's not as many games that are tied in the last 2 minutes. Number 2, again, is the aggressive play where teams are either tying the game or losing in the last minute, of course, to trail by that extra differential goal. So I'll take a look at that in the next few days. Not for today or tonight, though. Still another project that I'm almost done, looking back at every hockey year. And I'm really at the true pioneer days where teams were coming and going, and we're talking well before the original 6, and they really aren't so original. I'm going to talk about that and why they're named that, because you got the second 6 matchup. Say, for example, the Kings, say they're playing somebody like the Flyers, that's the second 6, which are the next 6 teams that came in after the Chicago, Montreal, and so on. All right then, so thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.